the most important advice, I think, is to know that trauma is not a competition. It's not about who suffered more. It's not about who saw more or any of that. It's so personal, and comparing your experience to other people's can lead to really dangerous places. So just know that it's not a competition.
One piece of advice that I was given right after the Douglas tragedy was not to let our children isolate. So I took both of my sons to a ceramic studio in Hollywood and we made mugs. And Austin took an A, and I thought he was stamping his name into the mug, but he didn't. He stamped Elena, then he stamped Peter, Alex, Luke, Beagle, Jamie. Those were his friends and his cross country coach that were taken in the tragedy. And he wouldn't talk about the tragedy. He didn't want to say a word. But when we were making mugs together, he stamped those beautiful names into the mug. And my youngest son, right next to him, made a mug that said MSD strong. And I feel like art after a tragedy is really important in the community, and creating something beautiful is a great way to process pain.
The advice I have for other survivors of mass shootings is it'll take time to recover. Don't feel like you have to talk about it. A lot of media is going to try to reach out to you. A lot of people are going to try to ask you questions. You're going to get message on your social media. It's very overwhelming, and you're just trying to deal with yourself and what you've been through. If you really need help and you're very depressed and it's really impacting you, talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to the people that are closest to you. Try to find other survivors that went through it. It was very, very helpful to me to talk to other survivors of mass shootings. We understand. We know what it's like for you. Others may not, whether it may be a counselor, family member, friend. They may not understand fully, but we do, and we're here to help.
My advice to any future mass survivors: you need to face that it happened, and there's a whole support system out there. I was lucky enough to find a couple Facebook groups, and those people have become my second family. So reach out for help. Don't be afraid. There is help out there. There's a whole group of us, and we will take anyone in. We will help you. And also, don't be afraid to seek help yourself, like mental therapist. Don't be afraid.
The advice I'd have for other survivors of mass shootings is give yourself grace. If you're feeling sad, go ahead and feel sad, and don't be mad at yourself for feeling sad when another shooting happens. You're going to be angry at times. Sometimes a mass shooting might happen and you're just shut off and you don't think about it, and then later you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a horrible person, I'm not feeling sad about this shooting. No, it's okay. It's okay, because you're not alone. There are other survivors who have been there, and we are all here for you. So I would encourage you as a survivor, when you're ready, to share your story, because your voice is important, and it could also help change policies and the way service providers talk to people in the media, and being trauma informed. But also know that it's okay not to be ready, and it's okay not to ever be ready.
To anybody impacted by a mass violence event or a mass shooting, whether they lost a loved one like I did, or they experienced the event themselves, I just feel like it's so important to say that we all do need something if this happened to you or your loved one. And if you need help figuring it out, get help. It doesn't mean you need a psychiatrist. It just means talk to someone, and find out what you need. And for me, that meant, learning more through others and other experiences. But to find out what you need, and then to find out what you can do to live with it, because these things don't go away. Find ways to live with it, to go forward productively, because we have other people around us who need us.
If I could say anything to another survivor, I would say it's going to be okay. And talking about it is not a sign of weakness. Talking about it is a sign of bravery. And it is absolutely crucial in the process of moving forward in a healthy way.
There are lots and lots of networks that are peer survivor led. There are also networks for professionals who do work with survivors of mass violence. And there are tons of people who want to help you, but we need to know when you're ready. That was a big thing I've heard from a lot of people, and also even myself, is sometimes you're just not ready to bring those people into your life, but don't wait. The longer you wait, the more isolating it can feel, and the more your brain is going to tell you that you really are alone. So reach out and reach out early.
One thing I found super, super helpful is connecting with other survivors. Even though, unfortunately, gun violence is becoming increasingly common in the United States, it's still a very niche experience. And there's a lot of little things that people only really understand if they've gone through it themselves as well. And so one of the things that I felt the most helpful was reaching out to other people and knowing that someone else in my experience has also been through those same things and deals with those same issues. That was so helpful.
I would advise you to talk about it. Whatever you feel comfortable talking about, when you feel comfortable talking about it. There is no shame to be held in going through what you went through. A lot of people are not going to understand it, and that's something that we need to be grateful for. However, there are a lot of us that do understand what you're going through, what you will go through, and you should reach out and ask for help. We don't get to control what happened to us, but we do get to decide and stop it from defining us. And we are way more than our trauma. What makes us us is not our trauma. Do not let that define you in how you move through life and what you get to do in your life. But above all else, you're not alone.
To hear more from these and other survivors, visit the Supporting Mass Shooting Survivors website.